Our last speaker for today. Assaf Mischari is the head of research at Team8. And Assaf and his team make sure that we are thinking 2 steps ahead of the people who are thinking 2 steps ahead of today's attackers. Assaf will be talking today about artificial intelligence, one of the biggest trends in technology today, and what it means for cybersecurity. With that, please welcome Assaf Mischari to the stage.
Hi, everybody. Being last is a great responsibility. I'm the only one standing between you and open bar. So I'm going to do it in 7 minutes. So about a year ago, I wanted to schedule a meeting with a friend of mine that works in a VC in the Valley. So he introduced to me Amy, his assistant. And Amy and I started a very long exchange of email, trying to squeeze in the meeting in his very, very, very strict schedule. And Amy was polite and she was professional until she suggested that we should have the meeting at 3 in the morning Israel time. This is when I've decided to take a second look at the emails, and I've noticed something that I've missed. Amy is a machine. I've been fooled. So currently, AI is all over. Every time we use Siri, when Uber dispatches drivers, when Facebook creates the news feed. In fact, it's so important to Facebook that Mark Zuckerberg is actually talking about creating his very own personal AI to manage his life. And while some, like Elon Musk and Bill Gates, are talking about the dangers of AI, the impacts of AI currently on our lives were primarily good ones so far. So what about AI and cybersecurity? So every time an attacker is faced with a new technology, a new wall, our basic instinct is to try and find cracks, something we can exploit against this technology. In Amy's case, for example, I couldn't resist. 60 seconds after I understood she's a machine, I started sending emails with SQL sentences of drop table and select and whatever, trying to see if I can change the database inside of Amy. So what about cracks in AI used in cybersecurity? So currently, state-of-the-art AI in cybersecurity is anomaly detection, basically meaning that we are training a machine using what we call a normal set of data in order for the machine to recognize anomalous behavior. The first crack is actually right in the process I just described. Currently, networks are so complex and unique that the best way we can train our system is actually put it inside our networks in training mode for a few weeks, letting the system absorb everything around it, learning what is considered to be a normal baseline. The problem is that by doing so, we are actually assuming that the network, while we train the system, is free from adversaries and attackers and malicious programs, which in large network and enterprises is rarely the case. So we are actually risking poisoning our data set of what is considered to be normal and allow any attacker already in the network to just continue to do whatever they've been doing without getting detected. But even if we could create a perfect data set in a perfect network with no attackers, we have another problem. Think about the pattern of your IT department. They've been accessing computer, installing software, accessing DBs, changing configuration. This is exactly the same thing that I, as an attacker, want to do. So as long as I can match my pattern exactly to the pattern of the IT, the ability of any machine to differentiate between real IT and what I'm doing mimicking IT is going to be very difficult. Basically stating that in anomaly detection, if it looks like a duck and it walks like a duck, it must be a duck. But the system is not very good by differentiating good and bad ducks. But actually, the biggest crack I can see is in the name anomaly detection. Well, anomaly does not necessarily mean malicious. In fact, in most of my investigation into anomalous behavior, it turned out to be a strange but benign behavior of a legitimate program. This causes a waste of time, a very high, it causes a very high false alarm rate, And this is basically the machine equivalent of the boy who cried wolf. Over time, this is going to waste time for the security team. They're going to lose confidence in the system, and they're going to react slower to new alerts, a perfect setting for an attacker. So what can we say about the future? The cracks I just talked about are going to be solved in the future, either by being closed or being minimized. What would the attackers do next? Until now, the attacker used the same techniques we used to circumvent a human operator. But in the future, we might take the battle directly at the AI algorithm level. I'm going to give an example. Winning in poker is less about the cards I have and more about my ability to know what my opponent and influence my opponent is going to do next. Let's do an AI example from the field of computer vision. This is a picture of a panda. I know it's a panda. You know it's a panda. Google Image Recognition AI is 57% confident this set of pixels is something labeled panda. Now, a researcher that knew exactly how this AI was trained created what we consider to be noise. By combining the two images, we get an image that looks exactly the same for us. For human beings, this is still a panda. But if you're going to ask Google, you're going to discover this is 99% confidence a gibbon. Notice that the attacker did not try to dress the panda like a gibbon. This would not work on a human being. And actually, he demonstrated that in 85% of all images, he can control what the AI is going to detect without humans noticing. Now, turning a panda into a gibbon is funny. Turning a school bus into an ostrich, even funnier. But the stakes are going to be much higher when your autonomous car vision is going to think a stop sign is a freeway entrance sign. Or when in a border crossing, face recognition is going to miss a known terrorist. So bottom line is, we need to remember that any new technology that we are going to place in the side of the defense could also be a tool used and exploited by the attacker. And AI is not an exception. Thank you.